Hey beauty babes, welcome to my channel. I'm Maria, aka Agape Love Girl. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be doing a palette ranking video. I've been seeing a lot of people doing these videos. I don't quite know who this started with, but I always felt like such anxiety, like how can someone rank their palettes, rank their products? Like I cannot pick. I have such a hard time picking, and so I never thought I would do this kind of video, but the last one I watched was from Katie Marie and I just really enjoyed it, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try to give it a shot. And I did also ask on my community tab just to see if anybody would be interested in me doing a palette ranking video, and as of right now 94% of you guys said yes to doing the palette ranking video, so it seems like there's quite a bit of interest in this type of video. So I decided I would give it a go. So what I did was go ahead and go through the last few beauty replay videos that I've done here on my channel to find the last 10 most recent palettes that I have used and reviewed on my channel. So interestingly enough, I had hoped to maybe use one of the palettes on my eyes today, but I really wanted to create a look using some new palettes that I got that I am testing out for this month, December. So what's on my eyes is not anything of the palettes that I'm going to be mentioning today. I did create this look. I tried to go for something a little bit Christmas inspired, but kind of looks a little bit more summery and watermelony. But I used the Galaxy shade palette from Dido, never know how to pronounce that brand's name, Cosmetics. So anyways, stay tuned. I'll have this video up at some point. I'm not quite sure which one of these videos will go up first, but if it's up, I'll link it. If not, stay tuned. That will be coming soon. But anyways, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Now I'm going to be sharing these palettes in order from least favorite to my most favorite. And this really, I will at least say that the least favorite was very, very easy, but pretty much the rest of them I had a very, very hard time because these palettes are palettes that I enjoyed all of them. And so it feels really sad to me to have to put some so lower down, but I really just decided to really sit and think about why and which ones I like best and try to rank them the very best I could. So please know that just because some of these are lower down on the ranking doesn't mean that they're not good or whatever. It just means that for whatever reason there was others I liked more, but generally, aside from the very last palette I'm going to mention, all of these are good palettes. It made me sad that I had to rank them lower, but that's how ranking videos go. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into number 10. Now, if you are someone who watches my beauty replay videos, this one will be no surprise to you that this is number 10. This is one that I was very vocal about that I did not really care for at all. In fact, I will just plain say that I don't like this palette, and that is the Pixy Beauty palette that was in collaboration with That's Heart. And it kind of makes me sad to say that because I mean, I don't want to be mean. I do receive PR from Pixy Beauty and I generally like a lot of their products, but their eyeshadow palettes, their eyeshadow formula are ones that I don't really care for. They're my least favorite among the Pixy Beauty products because the price is way too high for what it is. This is is it 24 or 20? No, I think it's $24 for this. You're only getting 5 shades. The palette is just very like cheap plastic packaging. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing cute about it. It's just plain and boring. And then the quality of the eyeshadows themselves are just not good. Like, they don't really perform well in my opinion. The shimmers are very, very lackluster. You definitely need a setting spray to make them work. The mattes are okay, but it just, for that price, I just feel like there's so many other brands and palettes out there that you can get that are way better quality than this and more affordable even. So I just, for that reason, this is number 10. Moving on to number 9, this one was kind of easy for me too, and this, like I already said in the beginning, I kind of made a disclaimer, I just feel like I have to say it. It's not about the quality necessarily. A lot of these are ranked in order of personal preference. So number 9, I picked the Nubian 3 Coral palette. Now, I did do a couple videos using this palette, and I did create actually several looks using this palette, and I did like the looks I created with this palette, but I will just say that the reason why this is number 9 is just the color story is not my preference. I find that it's a little bit too boring. For one, I'm not a fan of like silvers and grays. I'm really just in general not a fan of cool tone shadows, and I just also find them to be very boring. Like silvers and grays especially are so boring. I just have to say this real quick. I know it's kind of off tangent, but when ColourPop came out with that all gray palette, I can't even remember what it's called, Midnight something maybe, and there were so many people excited about that, I just couldn't help but think like, why? That palette is so ugly. It's all gray. What really can you do with all grays? Like, it just seems so boring to me. So anyways, this only has the 3 gray tones in it, so that's whatever. And I actually did like the look I created using the silvers and the gray, so that's that. There's that. But the rest of it is just like browns and these coral shades that I don't know, it just seems so boring to me. And I also just feel like I had a hard time really trying to think of different unique looks you can create with this, which I know this is so much of a basic palette, it's not meant to create unique creative looks, but I just feel like it's too similar. I feel like this could have been a much smaller palette, and you know, less of some of these colors. I don't know, so anyways, color story, let's just say it just wasn't my favorite, so yeah, that had to go for number 9. All right, moving on to number 8. This one also made me a little bit sad because I think this is a really, really pretty palette, and I was actually really, really excited to receive it. This is one that I received in PR, and that is the Pure times Barbie collab palette. The palette itself is so beautiful. I love it. I think it's so cute. The whole Barbie collection was so beautiful. I did do a full video testing out and trying out all of the Pixy and Barbie products, so if you haven't seen that and you want to, I'll link it. But anyways, I think it's a great palette, very good quality. This is really, really pretty. It's textured. It has a really great, beautiful mirror in here. And I think that the quality of the shadows is decent. They're not great. I definitely feel like these work better when you're using an eyeshadow primer than without. And some of the shimmers do need to be sprayed with some setting spray for them to perform the best. But that stuff doesn't necessarily bother me because other than that, the shadows actually perform pretty well. Oh, and I love the way it smells. I always say this every time I talk about Pixy or Pure Cosmetics products, but they have this vanilla scent that I love. But the reason why I put this as number 8 is because of the color story. While I think this is a really pretty palette, the color story isn't my favorite and not one that I would reach for a ton or do reach for a ton, because it does have a lot of those cool tones in there that, like I already said, I'm not a big fan of. It's got this blue. I don't really wear blue that often. And while I like purples, I just don't wear purples that often either. I do like this bright pink. I think that's really pretty, but I don't know. I think this is just personal preference, not my favorite color story. So for that, I had to put this as a number 8. Now for number 7, I chose the Nomad palette by Juvias Place. Now for this one, I actually really like the color story of this. I think that these grungy tones are really beautiful. I've been so into greens lately, you guys. I just am so, like, I love the green in here. I like these kind of bright and grungy yellows. This gold is really, really beautiful, very, very metallic. And I actually like this kind of grungy green shade here too. But the reason why I chose this for number 7 is because I feel like out of all the Juvias Place palettes that I've tried, this one's kind of the most finicky to work with. The shades, well, these don't have names, but the ones that I had a little bit difficulty working with was this bright yellow in here, because it is a matte with some glitter in it. And so I felt like it just didn't perform very well. Like, as you can see, it looks super, super bright and vibrant in the pan, but when you apply it to the eyes, it's not as vibrant, and it's also a little bit more dry and chalky. So that was a little bit disappointing. And then the gold shade, while I think it's absolutely stunning, and when you like swatch it with a finger, it's beautiful, it's very, very finicky in that, like, it doesn't apply well with a brush, which is my personal preference. I know a lot of people use their fingers for shadows. I just don't like to. I like to use mine with a brush, but I felt like it was very, very flaky and hard to use with a brush, and took took special care to have to use it. So for that reason, this one had to go a little bit lower on the list. Now for number 6, some of you guys may be surprised by this, because this is something I've talked about. I'm not a fan of these types of palettes, but I put that aside because I felt like the variety this offered, as well as the quality, was really, really great. So number 6, I chose the Pure Crystal Clear Ultimate Face Palette. So like I already said, I am someone who is not necessarily a fan of like all-in-one palettes that have face products and eye products in one, because I just have a hard time remembering to use one or the other. Mostly it's the face products in those kind of palettes that get forgotten and don't get used, but I do feel like the quality of this is really, really great. I think the price is really great considering everything you're getting in here. So for that, I really want to put it a little higher up on the list. So if you haven't seen this palette already, I do have 2 videos using it, and I'll link those videos as well. I think the eye is probably going to get full, so I will link videos in the description box if I need to, so you guys can check there. But anyways, so all these shadows are matte. You get a good variety of colors from neutrals to very fun pops of colors, and then these right here in the center are the face products. Then when you open it up in the middle, you're getting all the face products. So you have like a banana powder kind of shade here, some contour shades, some blush shades here, and then highlights. Then on the very last side, these are all the shimmers and metallic-y shades, and then down here there are 2 pressed glitters, and these are more shimmery face products right here. So again, while I'm not a big fan of all-in-one type of palettes that are like this, I think that the quality of this is really great and the variety is really great as well, and I think this would be a great palette for a variety of people, especially someone who's either a beginner or someone who is a little bit more minimalistic and doesn't want to have a bunch of products. You have so much in here, and it's just very easy to carry with, and while it can seem kind of big, considering everything that's in here, I feel like this is a pretty compact little palette, and I've just really enjoyed using it the last month when I was testing out and stuff like that. So surprisingly put this as number 6. Moving up the list for number 5, this was really, really hard for me to decide on because I actually really, really enjoyed this palette, and I feel like it could have been higher up for sure, and that palette is the Warrior 3 by Juvias Place. Now the only reason I really put this lower than the other one is because this has this bottom row here. Like I already mentioned, I'm not super big into cool tones. I'm also not super big into blues or silver, so this has 2 blues in here as well as this silver shade, but I love this rainbow palette up here. These perform so well. They're all mattes, which I really appreciate, and I feel like colorful mattes can be very, very hard to do like right. Not every palette I've tried with mattes that are this vibrant perform very well. This performs so beautifully. I created a look with it that I posted for my IGTV. I'll link that video, and I love the look I created with it. All the shadows are so vibrant, so beautiful, so rich, and just perform amazingly. So I just like the little rainbow aesthetic of it, and so I really just like this palette, but it just got bumped down a notch just because these shades that I don't think I'll really use that much. So this is number 5, but it's still, I feel like, a really good spot for it. So for number 4, I chose the Pom Pom Springs palette from Beauty Paint. Now I did do one video with this, and I've played around with this a little bit, and this is such a beautiful palette. And while I think the color story is a little bit interesting, I still think it's just so pretty and unique. The colors, while they look a little bit light and muted in the pan, they actually show up quite a bit more vibrant on the eyes, and I just really enjoyed them. I love this green shade. I think it's so beautiful. This is a pressed glitter, and I think it's super gorgeous. Has a little bit of a holographic shift to it. So beautiful. The colors are just very vibrant. I appreciate that there's a lot of matte. So like these here, this one and this one are all matte. Then you have 3 kind of shimmery shades here, and then the pressed glitter. And so I just really think this is a fun, very cute, kind of very neon-y, unique palette that I really enjoyed using, and I've been trying to use it a little bit more, but I have so many other palettes that I'm constantly getting in, so I'm constantly trying new palettes, but I really like this. And then I also really love that this is a woman-owned small business brand, and so I was really excited to support them. So yeah, I really enjoyed this palette, and so that got put at number 4. All right, moving on up to the top 3. So for number 3, I actually chose the Urban Decay Gtrain palette. This is just one of their mini on-the-go palettes, and it is green themed. And because I mentioned earlier I've been on such a green kick, this one kind of really popped into my mind when I thought of my top 3 favorite palettes. Now, while this only has the 2 green shades, that's totally fine. Like, this is just a quick on-the-go little green palette because it has this matte green shade as well as a metallic green shade, and I really so much appreciate that they put that in there. But anyways, I think it's such a beautiful palette. The quality of this is great. It's beautiful. the mattes perform so beautiful. I love how pigmented this matte green is. These are wonderful matte shades. And then you have the metallic green, this metallic gold. This shade City Kitty is like a light gold. It looks kind of white, but it's very, you're probably not gonna be able to see, but it has this very beautiful like sheen to it. It's so pretty. It could be used as a face highlight as well. And then this shade Breakdown is kind of a little bit of a satiny, just really pretty. It almost looks matte, but it has like a little bit of a satin sheen to it that is just very nice. So this has been one that I've used actually quite a bit the last month as just a quick everyday palette. I can create some quick looks with it. I could create some fun green looks with it too. So I've just really enjoyed this and had to put this as number 3. All right, number 3, we're kind of throwing it way back. This is one of the older of the last 10 palettes that I've used, and this might be surprising to you guys. It was a little bit surprising to me, but when I thought about it, I just knew like this was a palette that I kept reaching for that actually really surprised me, and that is the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. Now, when I did my like tutorial with this and kind of little quick first impressions video with this palette, I mentioned that when I first saw it, I didn't think much of it. When I first saw pictures of it, I was like, okay, that seems kind of boring. It's not like that exciting. And I did get this in PR, but I wasn't sure if I would even get it in PR. And if I hadn't gotten in PR, it wouldn't have been a palette I would have purchased myself initially. Like just based off the photos, I didn't think it would be one that I would purchase. It didn't seem like one that I would be interested in. But when I received it in person, it's so much prettier in person. And I feel like the quality of this palette is one of the best of their naked palettes. Now I really do like a lot of their last few naked palettes. I mentioned this, I feel like every time I talk about their naked palettes, but the Naked Reloaded, so good. Naked Cherry, beautiful. This one I think I like even better than the rest of them. The colors are just so much prettier in person. I don't even know if you can appreciate them on video here. And I was just really pleasantly surprised with them. While these matte shades all look very similar and kind of muted, they are just so much more delicious in person, and then when you use them on the eyes, they're just so pretty, so unique. These two shades here are stunning. This shade Amber is absolutely gorgeous. I feel like it looks boring in the pan, but when you put it on, it has just such a gorgeous, like, look at that. It almost matches the palette. It's so pretty. I mean, compared to the pan, I don't see, it's just so pretty. And it has a little bit of like a little bit of sparkle to it. Oh, it's so pretty. And so I kept reaching for this palette over and over again the month I was really reviewing it and putting it to the test, and just really enjoyed it. And so yeah, this had to be my number 2 palette. All right, and I feel like we should do some kind of drum roll for the number 1 ranked palette of the last 10 palettes I have tried and reviewed. And I'm really excited to share this one because it is an indie brand. It's a woman-owned indie brand, and it's just a really beautiful palette. So I'm really excited to say that my number 1 pick is the Menagerie Cosmetics Courtship palette. This is just one of their mini palettes, and it's a very simple color story, but it's one that I absolutely love, and I have reached for this over and over again over the last couple of months since I've had this palette. And here's what it looks like. The color story, like I said, is very simple, very basic, but this is like my color story. Like when I think of colors that I absolutely love, colors that speak to my soul, this is it. And this is one that I just reach for over and over again. I love this shade called Serenade. It's the perfect like burgundy shade. It's so stunning. This one right here, Tutu, is such a cute little vibrant shade, kind of like, you know, the flamingos up here. It's so pretty. But even better, these metallic shades are absolutely stunning. So this is Besties. Look at that. And then Keepsake, absolutely stunning. Let me go ahead and swatch these. Swatch it next to, so pretty. And they perform, this is a little bit flaky, they perform absolutely beautiful. They're just breathtaking on the eyes. And then over here you have these kind of a little bit more neutrally simple shades. This one is called Caramelize, and then down here you have Bon Bon. Caramelize is a really gorgeous, very delicious shade as well. It's just so beautiful. And this is a palette that I will just reach for when I just want a quick look that's still going to be very bam and very beautiful, and I feel like makes my eyes stand out so well, because I do have hazel eyes. But when I wear these shades on my eyes, they make my eyes pop a little bit more green, and I just love it. Also, like I think I said, the quality of these are absolutely beautiful. You do get quite a bit of kick up with the matte shades, and then the metallics are a little bit on the flaky side, but they perform so beautifully on the eyes. You don't need primer, you don't need anything. They're just they pack such a punch of color. It's magical. If you have not tried Menagerie Cosmetics yet, I definitely recommend them. They are so beautiful. This palette is $19, and while that can seem like quite a bit of money for just 6 shades, the quality of it is amazing. And I am someone who definitely feels like when it comes to indie brands, I don't mind spending a little bit more money because you know the quality that goes into it, and it's just so much more worth it to me to support smaller business brands, because I personally know, working with a couple small business brands, the time, effort, work, love, and everything that goes into making these products. So I definitely recommend checking out Menagerie Cosmetics and supporting their brand as well as other indie brands, because you know they're worth it. But anyways, that does it for this ranking video. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching it and seeing and hearing my thoughts on the last 10 palettes I used and seeing where I would rank each of them. I'd love to know your thoughts on this video and how I rank them. Do you agree, disagree, if you've tried any of these? And if you like this video and want to see more of them, definitely give this video a thumbs up or leave a comment letting me know your thoughts. But anyways, with all that being said, I just want to thank you so much for watching, and until next time, much love and hugs to you. Bye, beauty babes. Mwah!